Today, we got 3 separate plane crashes taking more than 170 lives. None of these 3 instances are related, but we'll give you our thoughts and opinions. And then, India is alleging that Canadian colleges are linked to smuggling people from Canada into the US. And third, there's some more Trump shenanigans. He's saying everything from buying Greenland to taking back the Panama Canal. And lastly, since this is the last episode of the year, we figured we'd talk about New Year's resolutions and if they work. And as always, stay tuned for Off Topic after all the stories are done, where we talk about all the trendy stuff. And if you haven't done so already, go like and subscribe and go follow us on Instagram at TheBiringPodcast. So let's start with these tragic, not to mention crazy plane crashes that happened over the last few days or so. Yeah. With the most tragic one that happened in South Korea. So if you want to play a clip. That's a pretty crazy crash.
Yeah.
The plane just looks like it's just skidding there on the road.
Yeah, it like ended up on its belly.
Yeah.
So of the 181 passengers, 179 were killed and only 2 of them survived, and they were crew members.
Really?
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy, man. I don't think that I've ever heard of a plane crash. Maybe I'm just forgetting that's been of this magnitude in any recent memory.
Pretty devastating.
Is there anything like this that's happened before?
So I just looked online. It's the deadliest aviation disaster to hit South Korea since 1997. That's when a Korean Airlines Boeing 747 crashed in the Guam jungle with the loss of 228 lives.
220, and this one was what?
181.
That's still pretty crazy.
No, 181. 179 were killed.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Still.
I was reading a bunch of stuff exactly of like how it happened, but I feel like there's a lot of theories out there. Did you Google anything about how exactly it happened?
Yeah, so experts told CNN that the plane's undercarriage, specifically the wheels that are used for takeoff and landing, appear to not fully deploy before landing. But what caused the failure is still unclear. So the comments came after the head of the fire department briefed the media that that the cause was estimated to be the occurrence of a bird strike or bad weather. But the crash showed clear skies.
Yeah, even in the video, it's pretty clear skies.
Yeah. When you're watching that runway video, I don't see any birds. I don't see any clouds. I don't see any of that.
But you also don't see the wheels.
And the rest
it falls right on the bottom of the plane.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like any landing gear came out whatsoever.
Yeah, landing gear. Sorry.
Yeah, and I think somebody did come out afterwards and say that.
Yeah.
And then there's like this whole theory going around that they're trying to hide it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right? But from what I know, I think when like they're doing these aviation investigations, from what I read, they're not supposed to say anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Purposefully.
So because like they want to wait until they have all the facts.
So it doesn't taint the investigation.
But I feel like what's happening there is, I don't know, they're kind of mismanaging it a little bit. So like they're saying some things. I don't think it's a conspiracy. I don't think any birds hit it. Right.
It's just weird that so many crashes happen within days of each other.
This one's really wild, man. Imagine a plane landing. Like, it's not even in your mind. Like, they'll always say things like you have, what's that weird stat or quote? There's a likelihood of you dying in a car accident.
Yeah.
Then there is a high likelihood that there is of you dying in a plane crash. Right. And so then you see something like this, right? And 180 people die.
Yeah.
Right. And even looking at that plane crash, I'm like, how did 2 people survive?
Yeah.
Me, when I'm flying, I'm always like, okay, now I'm safe. I'm at the end, right? When you're getting on the runway and all of a sudden you're not. It's like new fear unlocked. Like,
yeah, man, that's kind of crazy. Like if you're landing and the landing gear doesn't come out, like imagine that those 15, 20 seconds of when that thing just went and
Crazy.
hit like that barrier or whatever it
Yeah.
was. I don't know. That's wild, man.
Yeah.
The two that survived were crew members, though.
Yeah. I'd assume so because what I'm thinking, what probably happened there is that there's probably two people that are sitting close to the back end
Yeah.
of the plane. Like I'm just speculating here, but like if you're sitting anywhere close to front, middle, anything like that,
Yeah.
you're
But
gone.
the whole thing was engulfed in flames.
It was.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Even those two people that survived, right? Like,
It's wild that they survived. Like they couldn't have even jumped out. You're going too fast.
no, you're not jumping out.
Yeah.
How do you survive that?
Because if you look at the video,
Yeah,
I think the tail end
flames
seems
started from
like
the front.
yeah. The tail end seems like even though it's all dismantled, it doesn't seem like it was like it's the one that shattered completely, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like they were sitting towards the back of it, but I don't know.
I agree with Indy though. Like once you touch down, like I feel like it's like a
That's
sigh of relief.
That's the part
when
where
you hear
it's
that.
like, even when you see the runway, like I'm not scared of flying, but like when you see the runway, you're like, okay, this whole thing's over.
Yeah, for sure.
And all of a sudden, they
Yeah,
didn't.
the idea of flying is terrifying to me.
More so now.
Yeah, I feel like it's like you'll hear things. I think the last time I heard something even remotely close to this was that Malaysia flight. I'm sure
Yeah.
other things
Yeah,
happened,
yeah.
but that was like covered so
Yeah.
stringently.
That's just because they can't find it still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that one just got lost over the ocean, right?
Right.
And this one is like a whole commercial flight.
Right.
Just smashes
The
into a
entire
barrier.
thing. Yeah.
Like you just
Those couple that got shot down recently,
oh
a
yeah.
couple years ago.
Yeah.
Those were commercial flights too.
Yeah. I mean I feel like it's scary because you get this false assumption that you're safe when you're doing these kind of things. When you're flying airplanes, you're like big corporations run this stuff,
Yeah.
right? And with all the Boeing stuff that came out the last few months or even year or so, and all the weird stuff that's been going on there, and then people stop having trust in like Boeing as a manufacturer,
Yeah.
but then it kind of goes away, and then you see this, right? I mean, it's kind of crazy. But yeah, the other plane crash
Yeah.
happened on Christmas Day. Then it was Azerbaijan Airlines, I believe, that was flying to that crashed in Kazakhstan. Right. According to a BBC News article, Azerbaijan's president Ilham Aliyev, I think that's how you say his name, has called on Russia to accept blame for a plane crash on Christmas Day that killed 38 people. The plane is thought to have come under fire from Russian air defense systems as it tried to land in Chechnya before being diverted to Kazakhstan, where it crashed. On Saturday, Russian President Vladimir Putin apologized to the Azerbaijani president over the downing of the plane in Russian airspace, but stopped short of taking responsibility. Aliyev accused Moscow of an initial cover-up in over its involvement in the crash, while according to Putin's apology, he said Russia must admit its guilt and pay compensation. Sakfir, you want to play a clip of the crash? I mean, that clearly looks like it just falls out of the sky.
Yeah. The president said that he's already blaming Russia, right? Like you said, for the attack. That one happened in the sky.
Yeah.
And initially they were saying the same thing, coincidentally, a bird swarm.
Yeah. So if you see the rest of the clips and pictures and stuff of this crash,
Yeah.
you'll see holes in the side of the
Yeah.
that look like it was some sort of string,
real evidence,
right?
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, like you're saying, the main issue there was the Azerbaijan's president
Yeah.
was saying that it was that he had a problem because they were really just acting like it was birds for a couple of days, right?
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I think Putin came out and he was saying that it was actually he never took responsibility for it. No.
Yeah.
29 people survived that.
So the crazy thing about that is like in this whole thing, That's the craziest part of it.
That's so crazy. Like what it looked like.
Yeah.
The other one was on the ground. This one was
Right.
in the sky.
The thing is that I think what is it? I read it right here. 3 crew members, the captain, co-pilot, and flight attendant, were given distinguished honors for landing the plane in a way that allowed 29 people to survive, even though it led to their own deaths.
Wow.
So like they were honored for that, right? So imagine being in a position where you're like, you can save 29
I think
people.
as
and
like
you
a pilot, you take an oath like that. No.
definitely. I don't think it's something where you're like, how do I save my life there? You're just trying to do your job,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, I think
Kind of like the question from last week. Would you kill?
right. So we know what you would have done.
I'd be the pilot. I'd get honored. Right?
Yeah. And did you see? I think Putin was saying that it was because there was like drone strikes or unarmed
He was saying
aircrafts from Ukraine or something.
they either said it was a flock of birds or a exploding gas cylinder. That's what they were saying. So he never took any ownership for it. He just apologized in the sense that anybody would apologize. It's
Because it's
sad thing.
over Russian airspace.
yeah.
And then he said that their air defenses were active at the time,
Yeah,
and they
that's
were
what-
repelling a drone attack.
That's what he was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, that they were repelling drone attacks from Ukraine.
Yeah.
And that's why. But the crazy thing is the Azerbaijan flight, like they tried to land in Chechnya multiple times,
Yeah.
and these guys were like, no. And eventually it crashed in Kazakhstan.
Right.
And I feel like even that, like why apologize for something if you're not gonna take
Is it
responsibility?
like apologizing or just offering condolences?
Just more,
don't
he
know.
more so did that. And even them, their preliminary findings that they had, the Azerbaijan, how do you say that? They determined it was a Russian missile. It was from Russia.
Yeah. No, he was their president.
He said it right off the jump.
Yeah, he looked like he was pissed off, rightfully so.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, at the same time, Zelensky, you know, he took the opportunity to be like, stop this Russian disinformation.
Yeah.
Right. And then he was like, he said the damage to the aircraft's fuselage was very reminiscent of an air defense missile strike.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, it seems like that whole thing is like them shooting down the plane. Right. But again, I don't know what that is, but I don't know if that was on purpose.
Yeah.
Right. I don't, we can only assume or speculate here. Right. But I don't think they did it on purpose, but it happened and they're not taking responsibility for it.
For sure.
Right. Because if they did it on purpose, wouldn't you be like, yeah, we did that?
Yeah.
I'm assuming here.
You know what's weird? Did you see that Russian propaganda video
No.
going around?
No.
I think we have the clip of it. You want to play it?
The hell is this?
The beginning of a scary movie.
Right?
Yeah, it's pretty weird.
Hi, Russians! Here are your presents! Happy New Year!
Is that supposed to be a Coca-Cola can?
Yeah, now I'm like, it looks like a Coca-Cola commercial. Oh my god.
Yeah, it said NATO on the sleigh.
Всё?
I don't know if you missed it.
Все. Цель уничтожена.
Правильно. Не нужно нам ничего иностранного в нашем небе. С Новым годом!
И тебя.
Do you know what he's saying?
I have no idea what he's
Снова
saying. But I think, yeah. So this, like a blogger put it out online on Telegram. I think it's like a Twitter style website
Yeah.
in Russia. So it's semi-credible. They have like 343,000 subs on there.
So they
But
just
this
killed
happened-
Santa?
So this happened right after that flight went down?
2 days after. It could just be poor timing too, because it said it was like anti-NATO.
Yeah.
Like he's shooting down NATO slave.
But how's that poor? Like, if a plane crashes, right, and
Yeah.
Russia's being accused
Don't
of
put
it,
it
yeah,
up.
don't put that
Yeah.
up,
Yeah.
right? Like, that's just not insensitive. It's disgusting, right?
Yeah.
Like, people died,
Yeah.
right? And your country's partially responsible for it. And not to mention this hatred that you have for religions in general, right?
Right.
Whether it be the mass hatred for Christianity right now, I don't know why.
Yeah.
But like even that, right? You're gonna spew that hate,
Yeah.
you're gonna push that even more, right? Especially on Christmas. The plane
sure.
crashes on Christmas, and you're making a Santa Claus joke.
Yeah.
Like it seems insensitive as hell, right? Like I look at that, and I'm not even Christian, and that's angering to watch, right?
Yeah.
Like to me,
Yeah.
right? I have no skin in the game,
Yeah.
but like to me, like a lot of people lost their lives, right, on a day that's supposed to be to celebrate joy,
Yeah.
right, and peace and
For
love
sure.
and happiness in the holidays, right, and then
Bunch of Christmases got ruined.
right, and then like we just talked about the Christmas market where the lunatic ran over a bunch of people in Germany, right, and then now you have this going on. I don't know. I feel like that a lot of hate towards the West is translating into this hate towards Christians for some reason.
But Christianity is Russia's like #1 religion. So do you think they're just trying to distinguish it from like Santa Claus? Like what was the point of the video?
I don't know. Is Christianity their number one religion?
Christian, like Orthodox?
Yeah.
So I just quickly looked up.
Yeah.
The Santa at the end of the video when they were speaking in Russian, he said, "Good. We don't need anything foreign in our skies."
Oh.
Which is interesting because that other plane got shot down in Russian airspace.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that is disgusting.
No, that's disgusting. I even feel like even just displaying that a little bit now feels like you're part of this. Like that's just a nasty message. Like I don't feel like
Right.
it's anything but hate, right? I don't think that's done by mistake.
Yeah.
Right? Like I feel like that's all it seems like to me it's all intentional.
Yeah.
He didn't reply. He's supposed to be some Russian like
I think it's like a blogging, like whatever, a page or whatever. Might not be just one guy.
is anyone else covering this thing or is it just
A bunch of news sites were putting out. It was even on Forbes and stuff.
yeah.
It's being labeled like Russian propaganda.
Well, clearly it seems like something of that sort. And if this is just somebody acting
2 days
alone,
after the
if this is something, if this is a person who's just acting alone and has nothing to do with the government, then you would want to stop this from spreading,
for sure.
right?
There should be some consequence to
Right.
what he did.
The only difference is that it said NATO on the sleigh, so it was like anti-NATO because obviously Ukraine, everything that's going on there, all stems from.
Imagine if that happened here, right?
Because there's a chance it could not be related to.
Yeah, no, I
Just
understand
poor
that,
timing,
but the insensitivity. Imagine if that happened
sure.
here, right?
Yeah.
And then you have a bunch of people that lose their lives in a tragic accident, right? And even if you were going to make a satirical video, which this isn't, right? It seems like he's clearly hating the West, right?
Whoever did this,
Yeah, he put it up even knowing that crash happened. That crash was all over the news,
2 days
right?
later.
It was over the news here. You think it's not over the news there? It happened over the airspace. It's
Right.
obviously
Well,
over the
He
news.
apologized for it, so of course.
I mean, I don't know, man. That's wild stuff. And then the last plane crash that we had was a crash landing in Halifax on December 28th when Air Canada Express plane crash landed. Luckily, all 878 passengers survived. So for you want to play a clip? That looks wild. Imagine being on this flight,
yeah,
So scary.
so scary.
right? So this thing is Air Canada Express.
yeah. That's
Right.
Air Canada too.
Yeah. And what they're claiming is that the plane skidded down the runway.
Yeah,
Right. This is what I read. I don't know if there's more information now, but the plane skidded down the runway, which caught the wing to catch fire.
yeah.
And that's it. And then some Air Canada spokesperson mentioned that it was also
A landing gear issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
a landing
So
gear.
landing gear issues and birds just happening on 3 flights across the world.
Yeah. So
Is it like bird migrating season? Or something?
no,
I don't want to make light of all this, but like,
no, the landing gear thing between the first flight and this flight,
Yeah.
it's a weird coincidence, but look at that.
Yeah.
Right. And when you see that's just one of the videos of the engine on fire. When you see
Yeah.
the pictures of it, the landing gear on one side is completely gone. The plane's like tilted one way,
Wow.
right? So I don't know exactly how that happened, but like you have 2 instances where there's some sort of landing gear
and all
failure.
that Boeing stuff, like you were.
They were all
talking about that
Boeing?
already.
No, I don't know that. I have no idea who the manufacturer of both planes were, but the Russian thing is obviously just coincidental. It's just
One of
weird.
them's a Boeing, pretty sure.
It's weird how quickly after each other they happen.
Right?
It's just coincidental. You don't see this many plane crashes or craziness in the sky, and then you see it.
How do you guys all feel about flying now? I don't feel better about it. I'm still not.
I mean,
afraid
okay,
of
so for the Russian airspace thing, I feel like that's I wouldn't fly over Russia right now anyways.
just in general.
Right? Like that's what that would tell me.
I don't think it's a tourist spot right now.
Yeah. Like and sometimes you can't be avoided depending on how you're flying or where you're flying to. But to me, if this can happen and somebody's not even going to take responsibility for it,
Yeah.
right? I mean, imagine if that was an airplane that wasn't Azerbaijan, right? Because
Yeah.
Azerbaijan is a small country. I don't know if you know where it is. It's between Georgia and Iraq, right? And Russia's to the north of it, and to the east of it, I believe it's Kazakhstan where it ended up, right?
Yeah.
But like, imagine if this was, and I don't know, a UK flight, a US flight, a Canada flight, a Australian flight. If somebody else was flying over those airspaces and this happened,
Yeah.
we'd be having a completely different conversation,
For sure.
right? But I feel like, I don't know, in that sense, I mean, with everything that's going on with Ukraine and Russia, is that something that you want to fly over right now?
Yeah.
Right? But and there's I feel like with the other stuff, with the landing gear stuff, that's more worrisome to me. I know they're not related,
Yeah.
but imagine if an article came out.
Why can't these planes get their landing gear out?
Imagine if later on we find, this isn't real, I'm just speculating here, but imagine if you find out in a couple months from now that the landing gear or some parts of the landing gear were produced at the same time or bought from the same manufacturing plant, or something happened weird. It's wild.
Do you think they would make that public?
They wouldn't make that public.
They wouldn't be in a rush.
Do you remember all the stuff that happened with Boeing? And there was like this.
No, for sure.
There was,
but aren't majority of planes Boeing?
a lot of them are.
Yeah.
But there was even
It's
this
a specific kind, right? It's like a
wasn't there-
700 or something.
747.
No,
Yeah,
that's just a model of like the size of the plane and stuff.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of different types of Boeing planes and parts, right?
Yeah.
But I swear there was a whistleblower who, did he get assassinated?
Boeing?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Somebody was trying to,
He was found dead.
Yeah.
okay, conveniently, right?
Yeah.
When he's whistleblowing on Boeing,
I remember that.
right?
Pretty
Yeah.
good company.
And then that went away for a little while. Nobody's talked about them for a while. And then that at that time, I think there was a couple videos of like a plane flying around where the airplane door just flew right off.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was in the States.
Yeah. And then they were saying there's quality control checks or
It's
something
all
like that.
happened like this year, all this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, you can
Bunch
see
of plane.
it's crazy to me how these things get treated sort of like how, like if you buy a new car and there's a recall on the car,
It's
right?
a little different.
It's a little different.
Okay, it says he died by suicide.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
But maybe
they say
it
that
could've
about
been-
Epstein as well, right?
yeah.
So, I mean, we don't know what happened there. It's kind of coincidental that there's a whistleblower, right? We don't know,
Yeah.
right? But that is some weird stuff, right? When it comes to airplanes.
No, for sure.
And then it's weird because then you see all this other stuff going on with, I don't know if you guys heard about, they're increasing the fees about all these planes, right? So you see all of this going on, right? And then these guys.
The
are now-
carry-ons?
Yeah, the carry-ons.
Yeah.
For domestic flights, I think it is. Flights going from anywhere within Canada or Canada, US.
Yeah.
All these major airlines.
All of them are jumping on board with that.
They're basically saying that you have to pay for the carry-on.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like they upped it little by little. Back in the day, you used to be have a free check bag.
Mm-hmm.
And now,
Oh, I don't remember that.
Well,
back before our time.
Okay.
no, on international flights.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Do you have them on international flights still? Or no?
You have to
I don't
pay.
think so.
My guess would be no.
Yeah.
Just based on you're going to have to pay for your carry-on.
Yeah.
You have to pay for carry-on and you have to pay for check luggage.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're only allowed personal items, and even that, they're pretty restrictive. Did you guys hear about they're weighing people?
What?
Really?
They're considering it, and there's even a Finnair, a Finnish airline. They already introduced it. They rolled it out. They weigh you with your baggage to determine like how much weight you're allotted, and they were getting like
I mean,
Like a
if
lot of
there
hate
ever
online,
was
obviously.
an
It's so
incentive,
embarrassing. Like
Yeah.
if you're like a bigger person.
Yeah, like how are you supposed to control
that's
that?
what I'm saying.
Meanwhile, Southwest Airlines in America, they let you, if you're overweight, they give you a free extra seat, free of charge. But Finnish Airways is making you jump on a scale. to
Finnish,
get on
is
the-
that Finland?
Yeah.
I'm guessing, right?
No, Finnair is the airline.
Yeah, okay.
Finnish.
Yeah, but like if you
Do you think they're using like cheaper materials and there's just less capacity? Like they
I
don't
don't
have
know.
the
There's a-
capacity for it?
no, I think it's an inflation issue. I think it's a capitalism thing. I think these airlines are starting to get more regulated. They're not as regulated
Honestly,
as
they're
they
probably
could be.
hurting. But
Yeah, but who cares?
Who cares?
Right? Like you
Your
have
planes are
people
falling.
dying, right? And like you have you're upping your fees, right? And even that, these fees, I don't know if you guys read, they're not just for the US and Canada. They're also if you're traveling to the Caribbean,
yeah.
right? Like who's gonna take
So where do
a
you go?
There's
personal
even
item?
a visa to get to Europe now, right? They never used to have that before.
I'm not sure about
Just
that.
recently, within the last 2 years, to go to Europe, I think it's not much. I think it's like $20 or something, but it's something they never had before.
But imagine, imagine the idea of being like, okay, you're only allowed a personal carry item, right? And you have to pay for a checked bag and even a carry-on, right? So you're telling me if somebody's flying to the Caribbean from Canada, right? You should be, what are you going to take? A t-shirt in your luggage for like 5 days, 6 days if you're going to a resort or something? Like, what are you going to do? Right. And this weighing thing is wild, right? Because if you think
That's
about
crazy.
it, right?
I mean, they're the only airline I read up on that actually did it.
No, but it's a little crazy. Imagine if you started to go to resorts, right? Like, imagine if you started to go to a resort and they were like, okay, before you step in, we need you to step on the scale. And we now have an eating surcharge because you're X amount of pounds. So we're going to charge you $300, right?
Yeah.
I mean, on the flip side of it, just to keep joking about it, I feel like the way that credit scores incentivize people to, you know, be better with their money, or car insurance rates, like
For a
people
reason
check.
to lose weight.
That's a reason to lose weight rather than anything else. You're like a cheaper flights and cheaper.
You know, you have to pay to talk to like an agent now.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you check in online and you can like print out your own stub. If you put that in that little conveyor belt, you don't have to pay. But if you, for whatever reason, couldn't print it out, your internet wasn't working, you need to pay to talk to an agent.
We recently booked a flight for 2025.
Yeah.
And
Those are just add-ons.
all of it, like you don't get any carry-ons, you don't get any check bag, you get a small personal item like you're saying.
Yeah.
And what she's saying.
But it fits, the personal item area is very small, like probably just a purse.
Yeah.
Wow.
So what about a man traveling?
So basically, like if you're gonna buy like a regular seat, right, and nothing crazy, you're gonna end up paying more for the check bag and for the carry-on
Yeah.
than you are gonna pay for the seat almost.
And these are the planes you're flying on.
Yeah, and these are the planes, right? Well, not every single airline, but like it's kind of crazy to see all of this, and then especially in a time when
It's a weird year for planes.
it's a weird year for everything,
Yeah.
right? Like whenever like the cost of everything goes up and it gets so high, right? And then companies are going to start to do whatever they can to continue making that bottom dollar, right? They need to keep
For the
operating.
Finland thing you were talking about, you can opt out of being weighed.
Oh,
Oh.
you can opt out.
But what if you opt in? Is it cheaper if you're light?
I think you're allotted.
They just want the weight data to know how much fuel to put in. So maybe it is just like a money thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I remember they got like so much hate on.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's ethically
Getting a lot of.
morally.
I mean,
pretty
weight is this
crazy.
sensitive topic, especially for
Imagine in a country where a lot of the
That's
country is
embarrassing.
overweight.
Man. Imagine they weigh you and they're like, you can't get on the plane.
Or like they display the number.
Yeah,
so the
imagine
whole
like
line
everyone's
behind you can see it.
like how they check luggages. There's this
That's
big
crazy.
scale
I was just
and a big
reading up on
number.
this stuff and I read that. I'm like, what the hell?
That's wild, man.
And I even read that other airlines would consider it if it wasn't for ethical concerns. That's the only reason. Otherwise, they'd all be doing it.
I mean, I'm not saying that it's right, but that's how capitalism
But
works.
if you look at money,
if somebody's if they can find a way to
That's
make
the
any kind of
only
money,
reason.
they're gonna make any kind.
Yeah,
of money.
like so anybody going to for example, India, like
Yeah.
anyone that we've known, they paid the money for the overweight bag.
Yeah.
So you could just pay the money for it.
Yeah, but okay, if you're talking about people going to India and stuff like back and forth, they're
Yeah.
usually doing things like that for 6 weeks. Those are kind of,
Yeah.
you know, they go for 4 weeks. We don't go on 4-week-long vacation. I mean, we have to like Europe and stuff, but like we typically no, right?
Yeah.
Like you're going for like a 5-day holiday, 7 days max,
Right.
Like you honestly, you can probably some people who are good with it can get away with a carry-on on those kind of.
I've tried. It's pretty hard, man.
Depends.
If you're gonna pay for it anyway, just check a bag.
Yeah, at this point,
Yeah.
whatever.
Especially the limitation on liquids. That's the hardest.
That's probably what they want.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
probably want you to just check. More
Pay
people
for
will
your
just be
check
more
bag.
inclined to check your bag, right? Because I don't need both when I travel. If
Well,
I'm checking a bag, I don't even need a carry-on.
Carry-ons also, I feel like more of a hassle, right? Like anytime
I
you're
hate
there,
lugging that thing around.
people. No, I don't like if you have like a small little backpack or something. Carry-ons are also good for. I feel like if you have like one kids, you
Yeah.
stuff some stuff into there, right? 2, it's a place to keep all your passports and stuff if you have like a backpack and stuff, so easy access at airports and stuff.
You're
Yeah.
worried about getting lost.
Yeah, and that. Like we usually just stick all our phones and everything just in a couple pockets there and boarding passes, everything, and just take that backpack.
So
around.
many times though, I feel like you go to the gate and they're like, "Can we just check in your carry-on?"
That's what I was
So
going to
many
say.
times.
That's what they do.
Yeah,
right?
almost
Because
every time, right?
yeah,
My answer is always no. There's a reason to have it with me.
Oh, mine's always yes. Take
Really?
Because I just don't want to carry it.
I don't want to wait to. The
Get
whole
your
reason I got the
luggage.
carry-on is I don't have to wait for my baggage after.
I don't think I've ever been somewhere where I haven't had checked in.
I did it.
My dad does it.
Yeah.
yeah. Your dad's one of those minimalist flyers.
He'll go to India for 5 weeks with carry-on.
Oh damn.
Please like and subscribe, as it really does help the podcast out tremendously. Now let's get back to the pod. Okay, so let's move on to the
India?
next story. India, right? India's claim that various Canadian colleges are linked to smuggling people into the U.S. According to a CBC News article, the Indian Enforcement Directorate said its investigation found that about 25,000 students were referred to by one entity, with over 10,000 students referred by another entity to various colleges outside India every year. Arrangements would be made for the Indian nationals to be admitted to Canadian colleges and universities and apply for student visas, according to the Enforcement Directorate. But once the Indian nationals reach Canada, instead of joining the college, they illegally cross the border from Canada into the U.S., and the fee received by the Canadian schools was remitted back to the individual's account, the Enforcement Directorate said.
Okay, so these guys are essentially accusing them of human trafficking
Yeah.
to the United States.
Yeah. So what is it? 35,000 students are saying?
Yeah. And the idea is that what they get into the school and then they give them their feedback, whatever they got. So it's a full-blown
Entities.
scheme. Yeah, entities.
Right. One entity, 25,000 people. Another entity, 10,000 people.
Yeah. I don't know about that, man.
Yeah. Okay. The way,
I've never heard of any university or college giving me back any money.
I
I
mean,
didn't know they did that.
it seems like a bit of a stretch to me, right? Like I look at I think they're alleging I read somewhere else it's like 150 different colleges or 200 different colleges. So these guys really
150,
think
yeah.
that 150 colleges are getting together in this scheme where they're trying to smuggle people into the US. At what gain? What do they have to gain from this?
That's what I lost in this. What's the point?
And the crazy thing is, like, aren't these Indian citizens?
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, it seems like a bit of a stretch to me, right?
Yeah.
The fact that they're doing that.
And none of it's been proven, right? And none of the colleges have been named.
No, that's the other thing. They're not naming anybody. They're not saying exactly how it happened. There's just entities,
Yeah.
right? And then I saw a lot of Canadian media took that story and ran with it.
Yeah.
Right?
Seen
And-
it a lot.
Yeah. And I feel like the timing of it is pretty smart, because if you're going to say that during a parliament break,
Yeah.
nobody's going to refute it.
Yeah. Nobody.
You
can say
have nobody, no MPs, no, Trudeau wouldn't have said anything anyways when he's been going, but like a lot of other people would have stood up and said something,
Yeah.
or like refuted the claims or talked about it. It's going to be mute, right? It's done during
sure.
Christmas holidays. It's
Yeah.
a story I feel like is put out there,
Yeah.
right? Did anyone, the RCMP, anyone respond to that?
Yeah, a spokesperson for the RCMP. They said in they sent an email to CBC News that they reached out to India about the investigations, and they basically said that the process for issuing study permit applications and acceptance is entirely managed by the Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada. The Ministry of Colleges and University has no role in the process. And then they go on to blame the government and stricter border control.
Yeah, so like again,
So they're not involved in
yeah,
any
so
of it.
so that what they're alleging there is that this isn't a Canadian colleges thing, it's
Yeah.
a border thing,
Border
right? So
control.
which seems more of a likelihood, right? Like if there's not as much oversight over the border, right? Then you're going to get people who, if these so-called entities
Yeah.
are doing this, they're going to figure out loopholes. They're going to figure out how to exploit those loopholes, and then they're going to use it repeatedly, right? Until you can blame that on Canadian immigration policy, until somebody picks up on it and says, okay, this shouldn't be happening.
Yeah.
Which is something that's been talked about in Canada ad nauseum at this point.
Yeah.
Where people are saying that there's been too much of an influx of immigrants already, right? It's
Yeah.
an ongoing topic that we hear about all the time here, right? So to me, I see that, and they're trying to blame some sort of colleges out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So I just look at this whole thing, and I think it's a little bit of BS, right? And you look back when between Canada and India, they're not really the closest of relationships
not this
right now,
year.
right? Not anymore,
Yeah.
right? You had that thing with where they claimed, where Canada claimed that India was allegedly involved with the death of Canadian Sikh Hardeep Nijjar,
Yeah.
right? And to which I think India denied those allegations, and then Canada said that they had credible proof, right? But that proof never came out.
Never
but
came
they
to light.
expelled, I think it was like 6 diplomats, right? And the tensions kept going up, right?
Right.
So to me,
They're all-time high. India, Canada tensions.
they
I
are.
remember in my life. Yeah.
They are, and like not to get into all of it, but there's things that are happening during that in that front in the U.S. There's things that are happening in
Yeah.
the U.K. Right? But I feel like regardless, right? If you're India, right, and you're no friend of Canada right now,
Yeah.
right, and you see this thing going on between Canada and the U.S., right, where Trump is threatening these tariffs, right, and Trump has been saying it for weeks that the main problem is
Immigrant.
migrants and drugs, fentanyl.
Yeah.
Right? So if you see that and you're like, okay, there's clearly no drugs and fentanyl, like where can we hit them where it hurts? Okay, these guys are really worried about these tariffs. Trudeau flew to Mar-a-Lago right after Trump said that.
Yeah.
And then even I think LeBlanc and what's the other lady's name? Something Jolly, the foreign affairs minister
Yeah.
currently. They shuffled the cabinet so much, so who knows? But they flew down, I think last Friday. They didn't get any kind of commitment that the tariffs were going to go away. But you see all of this
Yeah.
and you're like, let's try to make it seem like there's a more of a migrant problem in Canada's hands than there actually is, right? Because the narrative before that was that that's mainly coming from Mexico,
Yeah.
right? And I'm not saying that there isn't a problem between Canada and US borders, right? But to say 35,000 students,
Yeah.
right? The way that they word that, and cleverly so, they would be like, not all 35,000 went across,
Yeah.
right? Now, some of those students, what's to say that they don't come here and they just stay here,
Yeah.
right? What's to say any of them are crossing into the United States? Nobody keeps track of this stuff. And didn't it all come off of that? There was like a family, I
There's
think.
a family that was crossing, but they were crossing into Canada and
Into
they
Canada.
had frozen to death.
Yeah.
But that was like they had arrested the guy who that was actually trafficking, I think.
Yeah.
So they're just trying to build a story around that.
Yeah, it seems like more of a narrative that they're trying to build at
So
a
does
time.
it feel more like Indian propaganda?
Yeah, that's what it feels
Yeah,
like to me.
that's what it feels like to me too.
Yeah.
And
At a
like,
time where United States and Canada already don't have the greatest
they have
relationship.
they have a bit of tensions there,
Yeah.
right? And if you're thinking strategically there, right? And if India has a problem with Canada, right? It's in their best interest to make it seem like and emphasize that Canada has more of a migrant problem than they're letting on,
For sure.
right? But the notion that it's 200 colleges, little crazy,
Yeah.
right? Like you could have picked something else, right? Like I don't know, 200 colleges are like
That was an easy thing to pick though, because think about like the colleges and the programs. Some of them don't even seem real.
Yeah,
And like there's so many private colleges. I'm just saying, like it was
There,
an easy
there
target.
are some real scams.
There
that
are
are
some
going
real
on.
scams,
Have
yeah.
you guys
A lot
heard,
of, like,
heard
what?
about
That's what
fly
makes-
by night schools?
what schools?
The like she's saying the private ones.
Yeah.
They call them like fly by night schools. So they're just some of these are just private colleges, and they're not even a school. Like they've been confirmed. Like
Yeah.
I think CBC did a deep dive on it.
Yeah.
Where they're just like a warehouse somewhere, and they accept a bunch of
Oh, there's
students.
fake schools.
Yeah, they're just getting them in the country, and they got exposed, a bunch of them.
So what's to say
That's a
these-
real scam.
Yeah. So what's to say these stats aren't surrounded by something like that? We don't know. They're not letting you know who these people are, who these entities are, who these colleges are.
Yeah.
They're not naming any of them, right?
That's the thing.
So when you frame it like that, it seems like these are accredited colleges and universities,
Yeah, it could
or
just be-
somebody that's shipping people into US, right?
Yeah.
And the whole narrative before was that there's violent criminals, cartel members,
Mm-hmm.
a whole bunch of people coming into the United States doing a lot of criminal activity, right?
Yeah.
And now it's being like nobody ever said there's too many Indians in the United States.
Yeah.
Like I didn't hear that. I don't know if you guys read it somewhere. Like that didn't seem like a massive problem.
Yeah.
So trying to shift that narrative, I mean, strategically speaking, from a geopolitical standpoint, if you don't like a country to take the opportunity when that country is having maybe a trade war with their biggest trading partner,
Yeah.
it's a clever move.
Yeah.
It's adding more fuel.
Yeah, it's definitely a clever move. But I would be careful because Trump is a little bit unpredictable, right? And India's
lot of-
India's part of BRICS,
Yeah.
right? And he hasn't really got to them yet, right? But he's been talking about anyone that's
It's mentioned. I mean, he mentions everyone.
yeah, he mentions everyone. He's been saying anyone who wants to replace the American dollar as a world reserve currency,
Yeah.
like you better think twice if we're
Yeah.
not if we're gonna just sit by and let that happen, right? So I mean, to me, I feel like it's done at a time where there's a parliamentary break, right?
Yeah.
And where so basically nobody can refute the claims, right? And even Canadian news media, they're just kind of there's news cycles are kind of dead. It's a holiday break, so
Yeah.
you inject this story into it and you try to make something out of nothing.
You know it's going to be all over the place.
Now, if we get more information and there's a bunch of credible colleges that were actually colluding with students or these entities
Yeah.
to ship people to the United States,
Right.
cool. Then we were wrong and we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
But for now, it seems like a bunch of BS to
Yeah.
me because India doesn't have a good relationship with Canada. They're gaslighting here almost, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what it seems like to me.
And
They didn't name one college. Yeah.
I wouldn't even consider like news coming from like an Indian website to be credible.
Yeah.
The way they word things,
Yeah.
the way they try to make us look bad, other places look bad too.
Yeah.
Sure.
You can't.
I mean, I think it doubles down on like the way the political game has shifted,
Right.
right, and where it is now. I feel like
Just
a
taking
lot.
shots everywhere. Everyone's just taking shots.
Feels like that's happening everywhere.
That's what I'm
Tensions
saying.
are just high.
But I think they're just words, right? So a lot
There's
of that.
nothing. Even here, not a
hoping
single
they're just
credible thing.
words.
Yeah, you just gotta play the game though, right? Like you need people who in Canada are willing to be like, oh really?
Yeah.
Right. And then take shots right back. Right.
Yeah.
Like if you don't know how to play that game, this isn't a time for those. I feel like we're in a new chapter where politicians need to be, if you want your country to win, you
Yeah.
need to be more clever than just be like, we're gonna wait and see what
Yeah.
happens. No.
Yeah.
You need to
Are
be
you referring to someone in particular?
no. I mean, we shit on him a little too much, so we'll just leave him alone. Look, these are merely our opinions based on our life experiences, knowledge, and research. Maybe you agree or disagree, or simply want to be a part of the conversation. Leave a comment and let us know your thoughts. Now let's get back to the pod. Okay, so let's move on to these Trump shenanigans. In a Christmas post on True Social, he wrote, Merry Christmas to all, including to the wonderful soldiers of China who are lovingly but illegally operating the Panama Canal, where we lost 38,000 people in its building 110 years ago. Always making certain that the United States puts in billions of dollars in repair money, but will have absolutely nothing to say about anything. Also to Governor Justin Trudeau of Canada, whose citizens' taxes are far too high. But if Canada was to become our 51st state, their taxes would be cut by more than 60%. Their business would immediately double in size, and they would be militarily protected like no other country anywhere in the world. Likewise to the people of Greenland, which is needed by the United States for national security purposes and who want the US to be there, and we will.
Merry Christmas.
Right?
Just winning on everybody. Did you see what his son tweeted? Eric?
Yeah. I saw that. You have the tweet?
Yeah. No, it was just a picture.
Yeah.
He has Canada, Greenland, and the Panama Canal.
In an Amazon.
An
Yeah.
Amazon card.
We're so back.
Yeah. I mean, this guy's just messing around, man. But
I can't wait till January. I want to see.
I feel like
You
there
think he's just messing around? You think he's just trying to like show his authority?
a little bit, yes, and I think it works on some people. What I feel like the playbook here is just wait and see what's going on, right?
Yeah.
Like let him come into office.
For sure.
Why are you gonna jump the gun? I think the Panama,
He's just saying it a lot,
yeah,
like every day.
this is what he does. Okay,
But
so
he's been doing this even before he was in office.
he's always done this. I think people just forgot because it's been 4 years. But I don't.
Did he say things about Canada then?
Not Canada.
Not
directly.
Canada. Oh no! During the USMCA, I feel like don't you guys remember the premiers were having all these meetings,
Right,
and he
right.
was saying a couple of things at that time. And once a deal got done, he's like, "This is the best trade deal in history."
Everything he does is the
Yeah.
best.
It was something along those lines. And that trade deal isn't honestly, it's not bad for Canada, really, right? Like if there's some sort of free trade between Canada, US, and Mexico, it's kind of beneficial to all of them. right?
Yeah.
Especially because US being the powerhouse, they also consume the most, right?
Yeah.
So like it's all beneficial there. But yeah, there is some credibility to what he's saying.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you look at the Panama Canal, the US originally helped build it.
Yeah.
Right. And then I feel like it's a touchy subject because I feel like during Jimmy Carter's administration, they signed a treaty where they gave all the management back to Panama.
Yeah.
Right. And I feel like leading up to it, there's a bunch of protests, a whole bunch of things were going on. Even after Jimmy Carter did that, I feel like there was like this whole controversial take about like if there's a bunch of people, obviously Republicans that didn't like that, right?
Yeah.
And there was Dems that were on the side of like, you know, Panamanians or this and that because of the protest. They were like, you know, let's just let them manage it, and
Yeah.
you know, maybe they charge us lower fees or whatever, right? So I feel like the issue here is that you know how he's saying that China is the one.
They've been using it more than they're supposed to, too.
No, so maybe
Yeah.
right, but from what I know, right, and like whoever, like you should do some more research here. But like from what I know, he's accusing China of managing the Panama Canal.
Yeah.
Right, and China came out and they outward denied it. Right, but the thing is, China, I think the management companies that are managing the Panama Canal, some of them
Yeah.
or whichever ones they are, they're Chinese owned,
Chinese, yeah.
right? So imagine that, right? Like now, I'm not saying that I'm siding with Trump or anything, right? But I could see perspective,
Yeah.
and I could see why he's doing what he's doing,
That
right?
would
Or
anger
saying what he's saying.
somebody. Yeah.
If you help build something,
Yeah.
right? And then China did nothing for this thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? And other countries are getting to make use of it more than you are.
Yeah.
I'm
You
gonna
got
feel
the wrong
slighted a
end of
little bit,
Yeah.
right? So
For sure.
I could see why he's saying that, right?
Yeah.
And then the Canada stuff with the 51st state.
Yeah. The governor.
Yeah, I mean, I look at that and I see. How do you guys feel about the 51st state? Do you guys think Canada should be the 51st state, or do you?
Absolutely not. That's so disrespectful at this point.
Yeah.
It's insulting.
Yeah, I think like jokes aside, a little bit it is insulting when somebody says something like that, but it's easy to say it when there's no prime minister who's going to be like, not even say
Backbone.
no, we're not.
I think a lot of it, he's just like, he's blatantly just disrespecting this guy now. Trudeau.
Yeah,
Did
he
you
is.
see what he said about Wayne Gretzky?
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
He was just like, he met him and he basically saying he should run for prime minister and he'd win in a landslide.
Yeah.
He'd win so easily. He's like, it would be so much fun to watch.
I feel like there's this. You remember a couple of years ago they were talking about, I think it was during the midterm elections while Biden was president, right? They were talking about this red wave that was going to come, right? Never came, right? And then now it feels like there's this conservative mindset that's kind of taking over globally, right? Like, and you
It's
see,
happening here. It's happening.
right? It's happening
everywhere.
here, right? But I didn't realize, I guess, before that there was a liberal mindset that was kind of in place for a long time.
Yeah.
Right. So it happens from country to country, but it seems like they're all moving in lockstep.
Right.
Like, I don't know if you saw Elon Musk, he was supporting, where was it? In Germany, was it? Who was he supporting?
Yeah, the German, like the far right.
Yeah, the AFD, right?
Yeah.
Who's like a right-wing political party there. I feel like not only him, like the way that it is right now, right? Like
He's heavy on like Polyev too. He keeps saying,
yeah,
we need him in office. Like,
yeah,
ASAP. We need Trudeau out.
yeah. And I think from what I don't know where Gretzky's political views lie now, but from what I remember, I think he is conservative.
Yeah.
Right.
Pretty sure.
But yeah, I feel like this 51st state stuff, like the U.S. has wanted Canada to be part of it for a long time.
Why the hell
right?
wouldn't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
already
Hear about Kevin O'Leary? What he's saying?
see. That's the crazy part. There's people like that now.
Yeah,
There's
he's
actually
saying it's like a high percentage of the population that wants
that
this.
wants it. I don't know
And
what that.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Even in that interview, I think you're talking about the one on Fox.
Yeah,
They show a chart or an image. 83% of Canadians don't want it, and he's just like, that's not true. But it's probably in his best interest too. I feel like there's this little thing. Trump's a businessman. Then you got Elon. All these guys are just going. Oh,
it makes me
he's our
think
guy.
that, like Kevin, like who wants to run for something.
Well, he already tried to run for
tried.
prime minister.
Oh,
Yeah.
did he?
Yeah.
He's Canadian.
makes sense. I know he's Canadian.
Miserably. He tried.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't like, even with him, I don't know if you guys remember back, I think when all this stuff happened with what's
The
that
boat
Bitcoin
crash?
thing? No,
right?
the not the Bitcoin thing, the crypto guy who went down. What's his name again?
Sam Bankman-Fried.
Fried, yeah. What was the
SBF?
company he owned?
don't know.
I forget their
Doesn't
name. now.
matter.
That's so wild. There's such a big story.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was one of those people on one of the, you know how Steph Curry.
He was one of them, yeah,
He was
yeah.
one of them.
FTX.
FTX, yeah.
FBF.
Yeah.
So during that whole time, this guy got a little bit of shit for being on
Yeah,
that or
yeah.
whatever. And then now he came back double as hard, right? But like,
Yeah.
to what you were saying, I think a part of the right and conservatism
Yeah.
is that capitalism kind of coincides with it,
Yeah.
right? So if you are going to, because it's less government involvement, right? That's usually what their idea of it is
Yeah.
when you're from a capitalistic standpoint, and let capitalism take over, and whoever works hard or whoever works for their money, let them make as much money as possible, cut the taxes, less government spending, less government overreach. That's usually cut the bureaucracy. That's usually the way that it goes, right?
Yeah.
And that's basically when you come through this high inflationary time period, that's what every country's going to want,
Mm-hmm.
right? But as far as this Canada being the 51st state stuff,
Yeah.
to me, I feel like I look at that and I'm like, it's nice that you're going to frame it in a way where you're like, oh, the taxes would be cut and all of this,
60%
right?
he's claiming.
I see it,
Yeah.
right? Cool, right? But America has a massive population.
Yeah.
Canada has a massive amount of natural resources.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
We export a lot of oil to them. That's not the only thing we export.
Yeah,
right? So
lumber.
if you can now come and own and you have control over some of the best natural resources on the planet
You
in
just
Canada,
get to eat them all up.
yeah, you get to now fuel your country and the economy rises, right? And they're acting as if they have nothing to gain here and just Canada's military gets
Yeah, but nobody's believing him.
No, people do. We
are-
live in this world
Even
where
like Kevin O'Leary saying that's going to feed into people wanting to agree.
don't you think a part of what Kevin O'Leary or people that start to really
He's
get
framing it as a union.
Yeah.
Which what the hell is NAFTA? What are any of these agreements?
There you
They're
go.
all unions, right?
Right.
Not like you're already trying to get a union.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing,
Yeah.
right? Negotiating with the
Yeah.
other country.
I mean, imagine, I don't know. The way I look at that is like, imagine somebody telling you that, like, hey, listen, your house is a nice house, right? Listen, I'm pretty rich, right? So what if I just start paying your bills,
Yeah.
right? And then I'll send one of my guards, he'll stand in front of your house.
Yeah.
We good? Like, are you guys good with that? It's like, no, what if
Right?
I don't like
And
the
he
way
can
that?
use the washroom whenever he wants.
Whenever he wants. He could just use a washroom. Maybe he can make himself lunch sometimes. A couple little things, right? And that's it, right?
Slowly, you're just eating it.
Yeah. Slowly, your house is gone. There's nothing left in it.
That's a great example.
Right?
That's what happened.
Yeah, and then this Greenland thing is basically, I don't even know why he's just throwing that in there, right?
Yeah.
That's just basically because of tactical reasons. U.S. needs to have, it's better for them to have military bases in Greenland,
Yeah.
right? So he's just
moving up,
right. It would make sense. Like
Take
it would be
Canada,
nice.
take Greenland, go
Right?
to Iceland. move
Like
to
imagine
Europe.
looking in your backyard and being like, "Oh, if we had his backyard attached,
I would think that. Like, I like their yard.
yeah, then that would make our yard better, right?
Yeah.
And it's better for you because I mow lawns great,
Yeah.
right? So I'm just gonna start mowing your lawn,
About how you frame it.
right? If you want to buy the country and somebody wants to sell you Greenland,
Yeah.
then go negotiate it and buy it. Right?
Yeah.
This stuff is he's just being funny. I feel like he's just throwing shit around to see what sticks.
Yeah.
Right. At the end of the day, I don't get like overly offended by any of this. I don't think it's that serious to like. And when you look at
Wait
what,
till he's in office. Let's see what he actually does. That's what you said before too. Right?
honestly, before this, right? I think everyone's really recency biased, right?
Yeah.
Like before this, everyone was hating what was happening with the left
Yeah.
administration, right? Now Trump starts talking a little bit. Even at that time, if you're Canadian, I wasn't good for him that he won and it feels like the United States predominantly wanted a conservative president, right?
Yeah.
And what the hell was going on with Biden and that whole mess, and then Kamala, and like it wasn't a good place for the country, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean he's gonna do good for Canadians, right? And I feel like what Trump does is that he's trying to be, I believe, a man of his word, right? So the things that he said that he was gonna do, he's trying to continue doing them,
Yeah.
right? Like this, I don't know if you heard about the Christmas stuff, right?
Yeah.
Where he was like,
Talk about right wing. Yeah.
right? He was talking about,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
How he doesn't want to say
Yeah.
happy holidays and
Yeah.
Even Elon was tweeting it. I feel like Elon just reiterates whatever.
Well, Elon retweets 100 times a day,
so much. Yeah.
right? But like at the end of the day, when I look at the Trump administration, if I was American,
Yeah.
right, the only thing that would concern me is if imposing tariffs are going to make inflation go ridiculously high. And if they have no way to combat that, right, then maybe they better get a deal done. But if you have faith in that your guy is just bluffing and he's going to get a better deal for your country, then kudos, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're American, yes, that's
Yeah.
great, right? But if you're Canadian, you're looking at that and you're like, what the hell? This guy
Yeah.
wants us to be a part of his country, is what he's saying. I don't know. You said 81% of the people didn't, or 83 or something,
83,
didn't want.
yeah.
I don't know what poll that is, who ran that.
It was on
But
Fox.
The people that do, right? Does it seem like the guy really gives a shit about Canada?
Yeah.
If he's imposing these 25% tariffs?
Yeah.
Right? No, man, it's just business, right? Like your country is not his country, right? He's going to take care of his country
He's
first.
talking about Canada like Canada's a joke. So
Yeah.
how could you? I just don't know how people take
That's
it
the
seriously.
other side.
People clearly take it seriously.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it
No.
does get offensive, right?
Eventually it
is. I
does.
think he said it too many different ways, too many times.
I think he really has a problem with Trudeau, though. That's
But why do you think Trudeau never said anything?
Because he's Trudeau. That's what
Okay.
it
They
is.
really have a backbone.
Again, this
But
is
nothing at
speculation
all.
on my part. I feel like Trudeau is the kind of person, like, if you're like in a party or in like a room full of guys or whatever, if somebody takes these subtle jabs,
Yeah.
there's some of us that are going to be like, what are you talking about? Look at your stupid hairline or
Yeah,
whatever
yeah,
they're laughing about, right? And there's some guys that are going to be like, right? And like, or they might like joke about like how they're so great at other things
Yeah.
and like just skate. I think Trudeau's one of those guys, right?
Yeah.
Where he's not going to be like,
He's not
make fun of that guy
confrontational.
back. He doesn't want
I
to.
recently watched a video, right, where a woman in BC came up to Trudeau.
Did you guys see that? I think it happened like yesterday or something.
A
He's
lot of profanity, but she was basically like, go away. Get out of
Yeah.
here. You don't belong here.
Oh,
And he
I've
was
seen a
like,
lot of
He was
those.
like,
No, so
Merry Christmas.
this guy.
He just said Merry Christmas.
this guy. But what do you want?
I mean, Trudeau.
Yeah, no,
What do
he
you
was
want?
very, like, for what she was saying and like how vulgar she was being.
Yeah.
He held it together.
So he's on vacation in BC, right? And she goes, Prime Minister Trudeau, right? And then he comes,
yeah, it almost seemed like
Yeah.
he was happy to see him.
and then he's like, hey. And she's like, get the fuck out of BC.
Wow.
Like,
Bait
for
and
example,
switch.
remember when the reporter or somebody said something that Jagmeet Singh?
Yeah.
How he reacted?
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was
She's like,
so
was it you?
different.
Was it you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
He was ready to throw hands.
right? I mean, I feel like even Trudeau feels it now. Like a bunch of people want him to step down.
Yeah.
He's
Right.
dealing
He
with a
has
lot
to.
right now.
Yeah.
Like his own party members,
Yeah.
one after the other, writing letters,
I
publicizing.
mean, at this point, like
Sucks, man.
Yeah.
the way that Polyev is, right? Like, if there was ever a time when Canada needed a prime minister like that, I
He's
don't
our
want
only
to.
option though. Like there is nobody else.
There is nobody else.
So you have to kind of like everything he says.
Yeah. No, you don't have to like everything that he says.
What are your options? Trudeau?
Trudeau. Who says nothing, right? But Polyev, I don't know if
He does have good points. Like I'm not
he
gonna
does,
say
and
that.
the accusations of him being a populist or whatever, right? But if you're at least relating to what the Canadian public wants, right?
Yeah.
Then he even says, like when Trudeau said this 51st governor stuff or 51st state,
yeah.
he was like, "No, Canada's fine."
Yeah.
Right.
Right? Like, and he right
He
away
seemed insulted.
Yeah, he seemed insulted.
Yeah.
He was calm. He was collected. He had a response to it,
Right.
and he does to most of these things, right? Even with Trump, he'll like laugh about certain things. He'll be like,
Right.
"Good for them." He knows how to play the game,
Yeah.
right? And at this time, when all of this misinformation, disinformation, whatever you want to call it, is going on, you want a prime minister like that
For sure.
who's like going to stand and give some sort of,
Yeah.
But yeah, as for that old Christmas stuff that you were talking about,
Yeah.
right? I feel like
There's a bunch of people online, Elon, whatever. There's this whole like movement. That
yeah,
We're no longer saying
Merry
Happy
Christmas.
Holidays. No, we're only saying Merry Christmas during Christmas time.
Yeah, they're saying that we should be saying
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And we shouldn't be saying Happy Holidays,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. I mean, I think we have a clip of a Punjabi.
Oh, the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was
Is, the message of Merry Christmas is disappearing. And now it's everybody saying season greetings or happy holidays. This is not what it is. This is a Merry Christmas. This is a Merry Christmas. Every other religion, they do not change their names. They say Happy Diwali. They say Happy Eid. They wish each other Vaisakhi. Everything they do, they say the same thing. Why are we changing Christmas? Christmas is Christmas. We should remember the Christmas because that's the basic thing which we are having all the holidays, the season greetings, all the festivals and everything else. So we want to tell people, say Merry Christmas. And when you say Merry Christmas, you wish the other person peace, love, prosperity.
Okay.
Well, makes sense.
Right?
Yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, I get what he's saying. Like,
No, I agree because there's this whole self-censoring thing, right?
like jokes. I feel like he's standing in front of a gurdwara.
Yeah. I think it's all people thought of.
But they had a sign up that said Merry Christmas.
It's that sex society in the.
But yeah, I feel like there's not, like he was saying, if it's Vaisakhi, right? We're sick, right?
Yeah.
So
We say
Vaisakhi,
Happy
Diwali,
Vaisakhi, yeah.
you say that,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Even if whatever religion it is, right? They'll say Happy Chinese New Year. They're not going to say Happy
Yeah.
New Year.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
not going to call it Chinese
Yeah.
now, or they're not going to say you can't say any, like whichever religion is, Eid, whatever, right?
Yeah,
like you're
yeah.
not going to not say that, right?
Yeah,
But for
yeah.
whatever the reason, when it comes to Christmas,
Yeah.
right? People want to be like Happy Holidays.
Yeah.
But I also see this other side where they're like, this isn't really a thing. Everyone says Merry Christmas to each other.
Yeah.
They're just creating narratives and talking about things, right?
That's kind of true too.
Yeah. But
I
like,
get both in like public or.
that's
from
what I'm
people.
saying. I
get
think
both.
I think it's not a thing for some people, but for some people it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll go places where people will hiccup when they're saying, they'll be like, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, right?
They don't-
like they
brown
wanted
guy
to say
doesn't know what
Merry
to say to
Christmas.
this.
Like this brown guy's gonna get offended or whatever, right?
I
Like,
think people think they're trying to be inclusive.
right.
They want
Yeah, Mr.
everyone to
Singh
be
here is
part.
tired of it. He's like, I want my Merry Christmas.
and then Christmas is so commercialized, so
That's
it's
the
kind
thing.
of steering away from the religion.
Yeah.
So they want everyone to participate Christmas.
Yeah.
But
Like
the holidays, right? That's like right now.
Yeah.
right.
What's happening? There's Hanukkah.
Yeah.
What's actually happening right now? There's Christmas.
Yeah.
Hanukkah, I
There's
think, is
like-
happening right now.
Yeah.
And then Kwanzaa, I think.
And then New
three of them?
Year's pretty much the
I don't
whole
know.
world.
Maybe.
Whole world
then New
celebrates New
Year's.
Year's, right? But I feel
It's like
like
these other holidays are before
the missing point is what you're saying. It's commercialized, right? So I feel like if you're talking about Vasaki or the
That's what it is.
right?
They're commercializing those too. You see,
If
commercials.
those were commercialized, right, and you saw
Diwali is commercialized.
no,
Yeah,
eventually
like how
I
many
think
times have you seen Festival of Lights?
Yeah.
I think eventually all of these things will be right,
Yeah.
and then you're gonna buy D-Wave from like Walmart.
Jen.
No, but like it's gonna be mass produced where everyone just celebrates it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Like if it's like if it turns more into a traditional holiday than it does like a religious one,
Yeah.
all of that can get lost, right? But there again, when you're out in public, you're gonna say Happy Vasaki to other people who celebrate.
Yeah,
Vasaki.
yeah.
Right.
You're rarely gonna say it
To somebody who doesn't.
Who doesn't?
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's a difference here,
Right.
and that's where people hiccup. Right. They
Yeah.
don't intentionally mean to disrespect a religion or not say Merry Christmas, right? It's just that it's one of the only religions, being one of the most popular ones, where you have such a big commercialized holiday, right?
Yeah.
And look at everything that surrounds Christmas, right? Santa Claus, all this other stuff, right?
Yeah.
We celebrate Christmas.
Yeah.
We have 2 Christmas trees in my
Yeah.
house. I'm not Christian,
Yeah.
right? We open presents. We understand the message behind Christmas, right? We have no issues with it whatsoever. And also
Tie into the religious part of it. Right?
and even then, if they're celebrating joy, happiness, peace, love, right? Like that's fine. Like
Yeah.
I have no issues with it. I see people all the time. We say Merry Christmas. You're not Christian. I'm not Christian. We say Merry Christmas to
Yeah.
each other. We don't have a problem with
Yeah.
it. But I also don't give it a second thought. Like, should I say it? Should I?
I
not
guess
say
I'm
it?
kind of with this guy. Like, that's what it is. You get tired of that, like overthinking. Like,
Right.
what am I supposed to say?
This weird
It's like I
self-censoring
feel like
BS.
saying Merry Christmas. That's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, and I think you should.
Yeah.
Right? Imagine if, like he's saying,
If someone flips out and says no, say Happy Holidays.
Yeah.
Then sure, Happy Holidays
like
too, man.
there are people who will get like very picky on how you
For
should
sure,
say
for
Happy
sure.
Diwali or how you should say Vasaki's on this day, that day, or
Yeah.
whatever they do, right? Like,
But I feel like the difference with like those holidays, like Diwali and stuff, is like with Christmas, you're given a time off. Like everybody in the
Right.
country has days off. Whereas for like Diwali or something, everyone doesn't get the day off.
Yeah.
So like I feel like that's the difference. That's why people say happy holidays, because like there's people that don't celebrate it, but they still
They get
have the time off.
Yeah.
right. Yeah, no, I guess I get the sentiment of that. And I don't think there's anything wrong with saying Happy Holidays either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Like, as long as there's nothing tied behind it where you're like, I specifically hate the Christian religion, now I'm not going to say Christmas.
Yeah.
Right? Then it's like,
I think it's just people are generally fed up with self-censoring so much, and they're like, I feel like saying this. I want to say it.
yeah. I mean, during the holidays, like Simmer was saying as well, like you have not just Christmas off. Basically, I feel like starting from like the 20th, nobody does anything until like
Yeah.
January 2nd. Like everyone's just like, well, we'll deal with this in a couple of weeks,
Yeah.
right? People go on vacations a lot.
Kids are in school.
Right? So a
Yeah.
whole bunch of so like during those holidays, somebody might actually go on a holiday. right?
Yeah.
But again, I feel like say whatever you want. If you
Yeah.
want to say Merry Christmas, say Merry Christmas. You want to say Happy
don't.
Holidays, Happy Holidays, right? Just don't hate religions for no reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's move on to the last topic. Since this is the last episode of the year, I figured it's a good time to talk about New Year's resolutions and if they work.
Yeah.
So there was this article in the Toronto Star saying how to actually succeed at your New Year's resolutions. Now, I'm not going to read the entire article, but here are the points from it.
Okay.
They basically say make resolutions for you, be specific, have a plan, don't overcommit, make changes, and don't be afraid to fail. So, do you guys think New Year's resolutions are pointless, or do you think that there's a point to making them, or do you think they're just kind of overdone? How do you guys feel?
I don't know. I guess if it motivates you to start doing something, it's not the worst thing. It's also like a great excuse to just stop trying right now. That's
Stop trying for these
it's
2
just like
weeks.
right now, I
Yeah.
get so confused. After Christmas, up until like January 2nd,
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell to do.
Yeah,
And it's a great time to just be like, oh, worry about it next year.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
holidays.
You just become a glutton, just eat, drink, do whatever.
Even leading up to just like, I don't know, December, you just kind of start going, nah, I'll
Winding
do it
down for
next
the
year,
year.
next year. So in that way, I don't, if you're going to make a resolution, make it right now. Just change right now. You know what you're doing that isn't right.
I think there's a large portion of people that like to have a certain, like, you know, the kind of person be like, I'll put my foot down.
Yeah.
And I'm
That
not
day,
doing this.
January
right?
1st?
Like, yeah, like that's my thing, right? And people like, everyone does it, where they'll be like, all right, next month
Yeah.
I'm going to do this, or next month I'm going to invest in that or save this or not spend that.
Because you have until next month to keep doing what you're not supposed to be
because
doing.
that usually,
whatever it is.
That usually happens like around the 21st, 22nd. You have these 8 days left. You've completely screwed over your whole month and your whole plan for the month. And you're like, screw these last 8
It's
days.
like when you're in school, you got a project that's due like 2 months from now, and you're just doing it the night before. Right?
Yeah.
Procrastinating.
I mean, the most popular resolutions are obviously easy, right? Like they're the weight loss ones, the finance ones. Huh?
Like drinking less, like dry January.
Yeah. And then like I feel like money, you know, like spend less money, save more. Or relationships, you're like, I'm gonna be kinder to people, right?
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
I mean, all nice things.
They are,
Yeah.
right? But people forget them by January 15th.
That's the problem. How do you like stop that? I don't know.
Because I feel like realistically, like any of those things, like if you actually want to make a change health wise or whatever, it's a lot longer than 12 months, right?
Yeah, it's a
Like
lifestyle thing. Right?
Yeah, and a lot of what these people are saying, what they say, make resolutions for you, be specific, have a plan, don't overcommit, make changes, don't be afraid to fail. None of that is bad advice.
Yeah.
Right? I just think that a lot of the times people pick the generic ones, right?
Yeah.
And from what I've learned in life, I never used to be this way, but now I feel like I don't have time to do everything.
Yeah.
Right. And I used to get frustrated that I don't have time to do everything. Right. So you have to pick and choose what you're going to do. Right. And if you're going to spend time saving money or growing relationships, right, your health might suffer. If you're going to spend time on your health, you might not
Can't do it all.
make certain, you know, relationships thrive. So like, I feel like you got to pick and choose what you're doing in that phase of your life. Go set those goals, achieve those goals, and keep going.
Yeah.
Right. And don't
Yeah, it
just
doesn't
simply.
necessarily have to happen January 1st.
Yeah.
It doesn't. But like, I don't think like, I think is this movement of like people who are like New Year's resolutions are bad and you shouldn't be doing them. I think setting goals and trying to achieve something is never bad.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, if it motivates you to do something and then hopefully you carry that on. I'm sure New Year's resolutions work for some people. They don't fail for everyone.
Imagine the amount of people who are just basically just assholes, right? And then their resolution is I want to be kind.
Yeah.
You might get a lot of kind people to January 15th, right? Like, yeah, it makes the world a better place for 2
and
weeks,
it's so
right?
cold and snowy. It's a good time to be kind, right?
Right?
I don't know. For me personally, I stopped making them. They don't really work. They just give me. It's been my reason right now to slack off, eat bad, be lazy. I've been
Do you
doing
think it's
it.
like a younger thing to do though? Like the older we get, the more.
Probably because like for me personally, I set long-term goals and short-term goals all the time, right? Whether they're monthly or yearly. Like I have goals.
We try to set weekly goals. Like
At times. Yeah.
sugar.
Yeah, if it gets too out of hand, like something like spending or health or you're just splurging, whatever you're doing, then you have to hone it in and be like, all right, tomorrow none of this, right? We're not waiting till
Not
next
8
month.
days
Yeah,
from now.
like this afternoon, none of this, right? But like the main idea of it is to just, you have to continue setting goals and achieving these goals, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're not going anywhere. How do you track your progress, right? So, I mean, I don't think New Year's resolutions are bad. If you make them, that's fine. Just try to make ones that are realistic to you and synonymous to you, and make a plan on how you're gonna. If you have a resolution, have a plan on how you're gonna achieve that. Don't just be like, I want to lose 25 pounds. How are you going to lose 25 pounds? Are you going to cut carbs? Are you going to go to the gym every single day?
Yeah, that's what
Are you going to do it from now until January 30th? And then
Have more of an action
February,
plan.
maybe you're busy, so you don't work out, but you're still eating right. And then March, you kick back. Like, know your life, right? And make it according to whatever's going on in your life, right? But So I think that's it for the stories. Let's move on to off topic.
Okay, so for our first story, so Drake did a live stream with Aiden Ross
Oh, okay.
He's back.
where he gave out, I know, where he gave out a lot of money, a lot of like some cars.
Yeah.
Trips.
Yeah, he called it Drizmas.
Christmas? Okay.
Drizmas, sorry.
Giveaway.
Yeah, I saw some of this stuff. He gave away a bunch of money, right?
Yeah, so we have a little clip.
Oh, he's Santa?
Right there. Right there. Right there. Thank you. Yes, sir. Here we go. Welcome to the first annual Drizmas giveaway for me and Steak. Let's get it. Yes, sir. Right. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad.
Is he dancing?
Yeah, he is. He's doing great things.
This guy's a popular streamer too, right?
Aiden Ross, yeah. Everyone knows who he is.
Yeah.
So he introduces them with the mariachi band.
What's up, big man, brother? Shenanigans. My good friend. This is Christmas. Aubrey, Aiden, the healthy Ross. Oh shit! I wasn't going to read that.
Yeah.
This is so funny.
So just for some context, he's saying he's mentioning Rick Ross's name and also Kendrick Lamar.
I can't read these things verbatim. Gotta edit these, huh? No, he's after fun, and of course the Drake charisma, and it's always fuck. Oh, I'm not reading that. Please help a Drizzy soldier finally show my wife why Drake is the greatest ever to do it. So great. I love every single word of that. Also, Jonathan Dominguez. Jonathan, love Canada right now. You have to stand for this. We see the rise, the true north strong.
Okay, yeah.
The streamer's pretty funny, and he gave away a lot of stuff. He gave away like money. There's one entrepreneur in Toronto he gave $100,000 to.
Yeah.
He gave away like
that guy that was on CP24, remember? You were talking about Naz.
yeah.
Oh, that funny Armenian.
Yeah, he's funny.
Yeah.
I seen
He
this.
gave him
stuff.
$100K.
Damn.
This one girl came, like a lot of people were writing in. This one girl wrote in, my ex cheated on me like so many times, and his dream car, it was a G-Wagon. So can you give me a G-Wagon? And he gave it to her.
He gave away 2 G-Wagon.
He gave away trips. It was really,
I mean,
he gave
it's
a lot.
good on his part. That's how you
Yeah.
get back in people's good graces, you know?
Yeah. What was he saying
Give him
about
stuff.
Kendrick? I missed that reference.
He just said F, Kendrick.
Somebody just, I think they
Said it in a letter, and he basically said the whole thing, and he's like, "Oh, I can't say that." He
Yeah.
already said
Yeah,
it.
he goes F Ken.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not gonna say that.
I mean,
I think he was calling Rick Ross like fat.
Yeah, someone said in the letter
the healthy
also
Ross.
like the healthy Ross about Aiden Ross.
Ross.
yeah.
But Drake's reaction was really funny.
Yeah. I feel like, I don't know, to me, this guy's like, with the whole Kendrick beef, how he just went away for a little while.
Do you think this will reignite it?
Reignite the beef?
Yeah.
I think this is Drake doing what Drake does.
I think he should just keep doing more of that.
Right? Like, he's more on the trendy side of
Be
things.
yourself, man.
Like,
Yeah.
this seems
This
like
is
he's
who you
being
are.
himself.
Yeah. He even looks like
Right?
old Drake.
Yeah, like,
Yeah,
I feel
he
like,
cut his
got the
hair.
dreads off,
Finally.
like it's like, okay, so Kendrick was more tactical when it came to the beef or whatever, and like if you want to claim that he won or whatever, and the Not Like Us is like the song of the year or whatever.
Right.
But like if Drake is just not going to respond to anything, right? Like then you get like him just going away for a bit, right?
Yeah.
Like you can't do that, right? Like play your game, right?
Yeah.
Whatever you're good at, just go do it, right? And this, I feel like this is good, right? Because I feel like there's going to be a large amount of people that have missed Drake's music, right? Because people still forget, even if you lose a rap beef, right? The guy's still a megastar.
Yeah.
Right? He's not just a rapper. The guy's a pop star. He sells out arenas across the globe.
Yeah.
Right? It's not just synonymous to the United States or Canada, right? So, and I feel like he'll always have a place in Toronto, in Canada.
That's what I thought was smart about this.
Yeah.
He's giving back to like Canadian creators.
Yeah.
A lot of like,
But a lot of people in the States too. He gave away.
just in general, right?
Yeah.
You want to
Yeah.
get people to like you again?
Yeah.
Give him a G-Wagon, 100K. Yeah, this guy's not so bad.
I think the thing that gets missed about like the West in this whole thing, the West is like a massive community,
Yeah.
right? So like they all kind of ride together, right? Like when it's like, Kendrick's like on that whole West Coast thing, doing his thing, they're all kind of like on that team, right? Whereas like even if you not synonymous to Drake, if you look at East Coast rap or anything, even culture in general on the East Side, right? Like it's not like it's like there's nothing. I mean, maybe Tim's and like I don't know, winter jackets. Like what's synonymous to the East, right? Like where we're like, okay, this brings us together, right? But I feel like, I'm happy, man. I'm happy he's back to doing whatever he does. I feel like, if he puts out any new music, like everyone's probably dying for it.
He talked about his album as well, that it's going to come out next year.
PND?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's it called?
I don't know.
No, there's
He's been saying that him and Party Next Door are going to have a collab album. And he said in the summer it's supposed to come out when it gets cooler. But it didn't come out this year.
Cold right now.
So probably early next year, I hope.
And they have a tour,
Yeah.
I think all of next year.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it's good for him.
Good on him.
What else we got?
So do you remember when the South Korea president got impeached?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the prime minister then became the president. Now he got impeached.
The new one?
Yeah, the new one.
Oh,
Yeah.
Just because, so there was 3 seats that he had to fill in order to like finalize the impeachment for the previous president, but he didn't fill them and he didn't want to.
Right.
So everybody was assuming that he was doing that on purpose.
Yeah, that's what I read. He was impeding the impeachment. But yeah.
But he said that he just wanted a little bit of like, he didn't say that's why he did it. Obviously, he's not going to admit it if that was the
would be
reason.
stupid, yeah.
yeah.
But he was like, I just needed like a little bit of calm. Like I was just going to get some affairs in order sort of thing. But now they're impeaching him. So now someone else is, now the former prime minister is now becoming the president again. Wow. I think that's just the order of how they do things.
That's where the plane went down too. Right?
That's wild.
A lot
Look at
going
this.
on.
Yeah.
2 presidents impeached.
Oh, I think he also mentioned that he wanted to just chill because something tragic just happened. But we have a video of the chaos that's happening in the courtroom there.
What the hell?
A lot of pushing and shoving.
Yeah. It's just a whole bunch of pushing, shoving. They're chanting something.
Yeah.
But it still seems so civilized.
Right? It doesn't
Not
seem-
that bad.
When you said chaos, I thought I was going to see something different.
Still like an orderly fashion.
Yeah, I've seen some.
Like
Holding their hands at the same time.
But that's crazy. It's 2 presidents impeached.
Yeah.
You get this plane thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, I feel like there's I think we talked about it before, like the corruption that was happening with the other guy,
Yeah.
President Yoon.
His wife.
Yeah. Enter Dior back.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then this guy steps in. Obviously, he then gets impeached. But yeah, typically, I feel like with a situation like that, like where a country's not satisfied with their political leader,
Yeah.
I don't think when somebody else just steps into that role, it really serves any justice to the population at large. Like I feel like they prefer elections, right?
Yeah.
Like not that you're going to get them right away, but like that's what usually helps in those. But I don't know. We'll see. So what else?
So let's bring it back to Canada for a second. There was a man in BC who used to flip houses. He flipped 14 homes in the last 4 years and evaded tax on all those homes. So up to he failed to report $7.5 million in earnings.
Wow.
Damn.
His name is Balkar Buller.
Oh, he's going to be Bulgara, bro.
Being fined $2 million.
Richmond, eh? Okay.
Yeah.
He's fined $2 million?
Yeah. $2 million and then served a conditional sentence of 2 years.
Yeah.
The
So
day.
he's fined $2 million, but he didn't report 7.5
Yeah, I don't really know.
earnings. So
In earnings.
maybe
So
that's
it's
all
just
the
the tax on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tax on it.
Yeah.
It's a tax on it.
Damn.
Because I think it says there are 2.15
14
million.
properties in 3
14
years.
properties, yeah.
2014.
Yeah.
In
Slow
BC.
down. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's wild.
Yeah.
I feel like
I mean, if he shuffled his funds around properly, he might have came out on top.
I don't know how you, bro. How are you gonna hide that much money? I bet you this guy isn't somebody who's making $7 million a year before this.
For sure.
Like this seems like something
But
that
$2
happened.
million like paying that doesn't seem like that much for how much money he probably made.
What?
Flipping 14 houses.
Yeah, but a lot of that gets lost.
Yeah.
I'm sure 2 million. I'm sure he's fine.
Okay, it's not only $2 million. He's gonna have to pay interest on that $2 million that he should have paid.
So the back
originally.
taxes he's gonna have to pay, and then he's fined on top of that.
Yeah. But on top of all of that, the $7.5 million in earnings that he made, right? And didn't report. That's not 7,000, right? That's not 75,000. That's not 750,000.
Probably didn't get jail time.
Yeah. No, they said conditional sentence.
Oh, you got
2 years,
it.
yeah.
Additional, yeah.
But like, yeah, man, I feel like this is something that there's a lot of people out there when it comes to real estate, they evade taxes,
Yeah.
right? Which you shouldn't be doing,
Yeah.
right? There's ways of refining your house and avoiding taxes,
Yeah.
which is the legal way, right?
Yeah.
Which you have some sort of tax strategy of how you're going to combat whenever you're selling a property. We do it all the time. Like
Yeah.
if you have to sell a property, you don't want to just sell a rental property or something that's not your primary residence outright. You're going to get taxed, obviously. right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
a lot of what he's doing is probably because of, I'm assuming here, I don't know the background story here, but I feel like what it is during that whole time period when inflation was running amok, right? You were basically seeing a lot of places where you would just hold a house, right? Give it a few months and then sell that house. Do nothing to it. You're not renovating it. You're not adding any value, and the house would just sell for a couple $100,000.
Not even like selling on assignment, right?
Yeah. So I feel like it's a lot of that, and in that, because there's so much going on, a lot of things get lost.
Yeah.
No, you didn't lose track, bro. You knew exactly $7.5 million. You don't lose track of $7.5 million. I'm just saying, like, I feel like it was made during that time.
Yeah.
That's what I'm assuming here, right?
So BC also now implemented a new flipping tax law starting January 1st.
Because of this guy?
It's in the same
law.
law.
Yeah.
So all the revenue collected from the tax will go towards housing programs, but then there's just a tax now. Does Ontario have a flip? Like, isn't there a 2-year rule or something
What do you mean?
that within 2 years, like you have to keep the property for 2 years? No.
There's no such rule like that, from what I know. There's the primary residence where if it's your primary residence.
Oh
you
yeah,
sell
like
it,
the
you can get
capital
taxed
gain.
on
They're
capital.
starting to enforce the vacant unit.
The vacant unit thing.
It's coming
Yeah.
into effect in some cities. And
I
stuff.
think we got a letter for one of the rental properties saying that it was, but I feel like it's like if you're gonna do this and be in this space, you need to know a little bit about taxes so you know what to do. But it would be an honest mistake if it just happened to one house or something like that. This guy's just like, I'm just gonna pay taxes, take that tax bill, throw it in the garbage, just keep moving. Right?
Well,
Like,
if he never got caught, he would have been all right.
I mean, it worked till this point. So what else we got?
So I think we should mention Beyonce, the halftime show.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Beyonce did the NFL halftime show. For the first time, the NFL did 2 games on Christmas on Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah, LeBron had that whole thing like Christmas is NBA's day or whatever.
Supposed to be.
But the NFL did way more in viewership.
They're bad.
So her halftime show got like 27 million viewers.
Yeah.
And then she got paid $20 million to do a 13-minute performance. And her 12-year-old daughter, Blue Ivy, was
She's
there.
only 12?
Wow.
Yeah, she's only 12.
She's 12?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yes.
She looks like she's like
I thought she was
16,
older.
18.
Yeah, she looked a little bit older, but it could be just the makeup.
She's 12 too.
Yeah.
I didn't know she was 12.
Yeah.
But yeah, in other celeb news, Kim Kardashian released her own rendition of Santa Baby.
Oh no.
So she sang it and recorded it, and it was produced by Travis Barker. And then she
Which is her
released,
brother-in-law.
yeah, so Kourtney Kardashian's husband. Yeah, and then she released a video on Instagram, and it's the strangest thing. It's just her crawling around a house, and like a lot of random things are just happening around the house. And the comment section was not having it.
Yeah.
I didn't get the point of this.
I didn't get it
What was
either.
she? Is she selling anything or?
I don't know. People are saying maybe she's trying to be relevant again, get her name talked about
It was just
again.
weird.
Yeah.
Then I saw the Kylie
Pretty
was
cringe.
in it too, right? I saw
I
she
mean,
was
if you look back to how her whole popular career started, right? Like I feel like she has like a recipe for what she thinks
yeah.
gets her
Well, it all started with the video.
right. So why not do it?
But this video in particular was very cringy. It had
I
nothing
saw-
to do with like Marilyn Monroe singing.
I didn't get it.
Right.
At all.
Yeah.
I saw like the beginning part of it or something,
couldn't-
and
well, I
then
couldn't
saw her
finish
falling.
it.
Like I saw like 10 seconds,
Right.
right, and I was like, "What is this?"
Right.
But
There's a lot of, yeah.
Maybe
like you
there
were
was
saying, a lot of
product
weird
placement
things.
that I missed. That's the only thing I could think of. Otherwise, I don't know what the hell.
No.
She's always trying to sell something.
that's what I'm saying. Like, didn't you talk about it a couple weeks ago when she was doing the robo taxi thing? And
Yeah.
even those pictures were weird.
Yeah.
Like she was just sitting
But
there.
she was
with-
wearing her Skims in that. She was
And I
like,
think she's wearing her Skims in this
Maybe
video
that's
as
what it
well.
was.
But
Yeah, but like you don't need to do that. Crawl around a house.
no.
Damn.
It's weird.
Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, so we could just talk about the best of the year in terms of movies first.
Okay.
So the highest grossing film of the year, 652.9 million, was Inside Out 2.
Damn.
Then Deadpool and Wolverine was second.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
then number 3 was Wicked.
What are some of the other ones? You got Despicable Me 4. I think I see
Moana 2,
Yeah.
Beetlejuice,
Moana's already
Beetlejuice.
there too.
Dune Part 2.
Makes sense. The first two for sure. Inside Out.
No, they all. I guess they all make sense.
I feel like
I'm
Deadpool
thinking.
was one of the bigger ones, and now it's Wicked. I think if Wicked came out earlier, it would have been number one.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't think any of those movies are bad. I
Yeah.
think.
That they didn't deserve it, right? It's all good.
Yeah.
Is there
Like
anything missing?
it felt like a week.
Yeah, like I even feel like Sonic did so well. Sonic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never watched that.
You didn't watch the first one?
No, I watched the first one. I didn't watch a recent one.
Yeah. Neither did I. I watched
Yeah,
the first one.
I think out of all of those, I think I saw Wolverine and Deadpool only.
We watched Inside Out too.
Really?
Oh, we saw Inside Out too.
Yeah.
Inside Out's good.
Yeah.
Or Despicable Me.
Yeah.
I've never seen any of those.
What?
Yeah, that's weird, right?
Super weird.
I haven't seen one.
But you don't really like animated movies, right?
I don't mind
Like
that.
you haven't watched Moana either.
I saw what's it called? Inside Out. I like-
Oh, you watched? Yeah.
Mm.
So this is according to a list by Rolling Stone, the top shows of TV shows of 2024. So on the list, there's Baby Reindeer,
Never saw it.
Nobody Wants This,
Never saw it.
How to Die Alone,
Damn. I haven't seen any of
yeah, Matlock.
I watched
Matlock.
Baby Reindeer.
Yeah, I saw
That
Baby
one?
Reindeer. Yeah. And
Queenie.
Nobody wants this. We all watched that.
which one is that?
That wasn't even that good.
With
Kirsten Bell.
yeah.
With who?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was
About
good.
the rabbi.
Yeah.
The rabbi one.
Oh,
Seth.
that wasn't bad.
It was
It's all
good.
right. I didn't hate that.
It's like a
What about
standard
this
rom-com.
this new one that was on Netflix recently? That probably didn't make that
So
with.
this list, because I've seen different websites have different lists. So that Netflix one was on other ones.
Which one? The Ray Romano one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one was good.
I like that show.
Yeah, that was
That was
good.
No
pretty
Good
show.
Deed.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What other shows? What are we missing? I feel like there was a couple this year. Penguin was pretty fire. That didn't make
That's
sense.
another
I
one I
didn't see that
never
on
saw.
any
I'm
list.
bad with TV shows.
Yeah.
I end up watching movies, but TV shows I feel like I miss. Dexter
takes-
Original Sin just came out.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
There's a lot of good ones, I think, for 2024. Like Suits is coming back. Do you
What?
guys remember Suits?
It's coming back?
But it's going to be like California based.
Oh, like
So different
spin-off?
characters.
a
spin-off,
different-
yeah.
okay.
It may or may not be good, but
Yeah.
Suits was a good
Suits
show.
was good. Yeah.
Suits was good, but then it just felt like the same thing kept happening
For sure,
again
for sure.
and again.
How
and
many
again.
times can you go? Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
Um.
And then the last topic was just Grammy nominations.
So
Just
for
album
album
of the year.
of the year.
So just Andre 3000 didn't even know he had an album.
Oh, the flute one, right?
The flute one?
New Blue Sun.
I think it's just him playing the flute.
Oh, really? I don't even know that.
I'm like 90% sure.
The other
not
ones
even
are
sure.
obvious, like Taylor Swift,
pretty sure.
Beyonce, Sabrina Carpenter, Billie Eilish. Those are all
Yeah.
Taylor?
Makes sense. Yeah, Taylor.
Is Taylor on there? Yeah, she's on there.
Make sure Taylor's on there.
So these are just Grammy nominations for Album of the Year. So I don't necessarily agree that these
they're
are
the best
the
albums.
only, the best albums of 2024.
Right.
Like Ariana Grande is not on here.
Oh, true.
Yeah. That was the album of the year.
Was it?
Eternal Sunshine.
I
Yeah.
had no clue that she dropped an album.
Oh no.
I had a clue.
Yeah.
I have the songs memorized.
That's all we have for off topic. We have some questions.
Okay, questions. Let's start with how much influence does a person's name have over the course of their life?
A person's name
Yeah.
over the course of their life.
I think it like affects the type of person you are, how other people
Like my first name?
view you. Yeah.
I would. Are you talking like a person's last name in terms of like legacy and what they get from their parents, or are you talking
That's
about
the angle I was.
your first name in terms of cultural references and if it's difficult for you to navigate through certain?
Yes. Yeah. Second one.
So
So your first name.
Okay.
Mhm.
What do you think?
So, yeah, like having a cultural name
Mm-hmm.
like mine or yours, probably harder in Western society for sure.
Really?
Not anymore.
Not
but
anymore, but-
growing up,
Yeah.
you can imagine. Even like other cultures as well.
Well, us growing up, obviously, like,
Like my teacher couldn't say my name.
yeah, they can't. They usually couldn't
Same.
say.
Now they can.
Now
The
they
reason I have my nickname
Right.
is because my teacher couldn't say my name. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to call you Indy.
Yeah.
Really? That's the reason?
Yeah,
Me
that's how I got my
me and
nickname.
Pretender we're talking about the other day. We're like, who started calling him Indy?
That's how I
Yeah.
got my nickname. It was,
Yeah.
Interesting.
The teacher's just like, oh, I can't pronounce this. I'm going to call you Indy. And then it stuck.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I feel like I don't think it's more difficult or easier. I think it's difficult for people to say, especially for kids these days. I think the main thing that's different there is that if you have a name that's synonymous to a culture or religion, if there's somebody that discriminates against that culture or religion, or there's somebody that favors that
Yeah.
culture or religion, they can tell
an
who you are
employer.
by your name.
Yeah.
Period. Right? Like nobody's gonna look at Indrajit and think, oh, that might be some white guy. Yeah, Saskatchewan. Like, no. They're gonna be like, okay, that's we know exactly who that is, right?
Chinese people got it figured out. They have their different names.
They always do, right? Like they'll have a name and then you'll
Like
ask them
the
what their
Chinese
Chinese
one,
name is,
and
and they'll be something
completely
completely different. Is that Chinese people or just Asian people in
I
general?
don't know. It might be.
Just Asian people.
Yeah, it
right?
might
It's
be.
not specific.
Yeah.
I remember working with somebody and he was like, you get to pick your name.
Wow, that's
Like,
cool.
it's not that your parents' name. It may not be to all. It could have just been specific to him. But I remember asking him, like, I didn't
So
know.
he picked his
So
name.
he picked his name.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Like I don't know if like I would want like a small kid picking their name. Like, they're probably gonna
No, I
pick like
think
Power
once
Ranger.
he like immigrated,
Yeah. No, I'm
he
just
got to
being
pick
funny.
his name. So he was grown. The name he picked, I don't understand.
What?
The name he picked, like, I don't really understand it.
Yeah.
but He could have picked any name in the world.
Yeah. No, I feel like at this point, I don't think it makes anything hard or easy. I think it's just easy to identify somebody. That's all it is.
Yeah. I mean, your family name could make a big difference.
Family name can make a massive
Like if it was Trump,
Yeah,
something like
yeah.
that.
I mean, even
Legacy-wise.
our podcast is based on our last name.
Yeah.
Right. So like, not just massive names, right? There's
Yeah.
certain names in certain communities where they're synonymous to that religion.
Mm-hmm.
People named Singh are typically, to the Sikhism religion,
Yeah.
right? Or I feel like there's even in terms of like legacy, like if you're a Rothschild,
I was
Yeah.
going to say that.
No.
I was going to say
Yeah.
that.
like who you are, right? Like
Yeah.
if you're
generations,
Warren
generational
Buffett, like if you're Buffett, right? Like if
Yeah.
you're, I don't know, there's certain names out there. Like if you have that last name, it
Yeah.
means a certain, right? It's not always good,
for sure.
right? It could be bad too, and you could not be a bad person. There could be somebody in your family that's
You're just tied to
done
that
something,
name.
questionable, and now you're tied to that name, and you're looked at the same way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So legacy, I feel like, is a weird one, but yeah.
Okay. Next question. If you could bestow a superpower on your child or a loved one, what would it be?
Oh, superpower question. Do you already have one? I don't know. Maybe not.
What are you talking about?
I feel like you asked one before. Bestow A superpower.
Yeah, that means like if you could.
Yeah, I know what it means.
I feel like okay. Where do you go with this?
Like your kid,
yeah.
make him a genius, right?
Or just
A
get them
brainiac.
to never get sick,
That's a good one.
fight off all illness.
But if they're super smart, they can just
And he's like they'll develop cures then. Right?
yeah,
And cure
just have a
everything.
cure for all the sicknesses, and they'll be wealthy.
No, there's some
that's cool.
dumbs like not incredibly wealthy smart people out there
Yeah,
because usually they're very risk adverse, right?
and
It's
you just get
usually
taken advantage of. The dumb
Yeah.
people make the money.
well, there are like obviously ultra rich who are like the
Yeah.
Elon Musk of the world, the Jeff Bezos of the world, who apply their intellect and make a lot of money, right? But majority of the people that tend to do better financially in life are people who are a little bit dumber who
Take risks.
will take that risk. Right?
Yeah.
'Cause a smart person's gonna be like, that's too risky. Maybe I'm not gonna do that.
yeah,
What would you
Whereas-
pick?
Yeah, I'm talking about money.
yeah.
It's supposed to be about superpowers.
I like yours. I never thought of that, but like to be able to give health
Yeah,
to
to
somebody
fight off
is
any
a
sort of
really
illness.
great superpower because you kind of take it for granted. You
For
don't
sure.
realize like how important that is, how much you need it.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe something along those lines, like
Just
fight off
piggyback off
illness.
hers.
Yeah.
What I'm struggling,
What's yours, Indy?
I came up with it.
What?
Brainiac, super
Oh, yeah,
smart.
yeah.
like what I'm struggling with is like
Superpower.
Yeah,
like
why not?
I don't know if that is
Smart
because
people.
there's
Like to be
smart people
gifted.
already. Do you think they have powers? But yeah, and then you're making
The
fun of her for
smartest.
piggybacking. The
Elon
smartest.
Musk.
I'm struggling with
You're-
like if you said that your kid could have like read somebody's mind, for example. The perspective behind that would be like then she's gonna know too much. And,
You
right.
wouldn't even want that. I wouldn't
you-
want that
I
for
wouldn't want
myself,
that.
let alone give it to
Remember
somebody
that
else.
movie with Mel Gibson, What Women Want, and he
They
could read
redid
all their
it too.
minds. Did
Yeah.
they?
Men want,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
okay.
but yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I think something to do with if you want to give her a fun one, she can fly or he can fly. That's pretty cool, right? But like, it doesn't add any value to their life whatsoever. But you know, they won't have to go on these planes that keep crashing, right?
yeah.
You take us with them.
Teleportation.
But
That's
then they
pretty
could
cool.
sneak out. Would you really
Oh,
want to
no.
give that to your child?
No, we decide when you turn it on.
Yeah.
25,
have the
you can
remote.
teleport now. Before that, no. Teleport, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
I wish I
Time
could
travel? No.
teleport.
No,
That's the
time
only thing I
travel.
hate
No.
about traveling. The traveling sucks.
Yeah. Okay. Is there any other questions?
Yeah, I have one more. Which invention has caused the most unhappiness? Fire, the wheel, or the internet?
The internet.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
it has to be the internet.
yeah. Because the wheel, what the hell? Who was unhappy with the wheel? Nobody, right?
Those people that didn't get the wheels coming out of the boat.
Oh shit. That was
That was
bad.
bad, right?
But fire,
I can't even laugh at that.
right? The fire, I feel like fire is also used for a lot, right? Internal combustion engines,
Yeah, fire
heating
helps.
homes.
Yeah, like if you think about the negative aspects of it, like,
If you're thinking about positively, right? Internet's also used for a lot of good, right? But the question is, what makes you most unhappy? I feel like with fire, you're only going to be unhappy when it physically hurts you,
or anyone you care about.
right? Like if you like, I mean, like
Too specific.
there has to be something where you touch fire, where you get burned, where
Right.
something
Yeah.
cold, where that's how you get hurt, right? Versus the internet, I feel like there's a lot more.
I mean, like recency. There's bullying and stuff, right?
Yeah, all social media.
Yeah, there's a lot of comparison that happens. There's a lot of people who joy is robbed out of your life. Just maybe you're not the extreme, right? But like it's you think that your car is not good enough. You think your house isn't good
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
You think your relationship isn't the best. You think your kid's not
FOMO.
the smartest. You think
Yeah.
every single little thing, right? So I think along those lines, like, yeah, internet for sure. And then obviously piggybacking off of what you're saying, like I feel like social media and all these things that we've been talking
Talk about it so much.
so much, right? What happens with kids, how you're going to tackle that as a parent. Like, I feel like it's a lot, right? So I think to me, yeah, internet's the obvious answer, right? Are we all on the same page there?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And with that, remember, we're not experts at anything, but we research everything, and we think you guys should do the same. With that said, it's a wrap. We'll catch you guys next week.
Take care, everybody. See you next year.